The Caribbean Sea is witnessing its largest U.S. military buildup since 1989. The USS Gerald Ford, warships, submarines and fighter jets now patrol near Venezuela, signaling a dramatic shift in U.S. policy. Southcom oversees this sustained operation, raising questions about its true purpose. The presence of advanced American military assets so close to Venezuela has unsettled Latin America and the world. Officially, the U.S. claims to be targeting illegal activities, but the scale and intensity suggest deeper motives. The region hasn't seen such a show of force in decades, and speculation is rampant. As American ships and jets dominate the horizon, the Caribbean waits anxiously, uncertain of what comes next. The world is watching, as tensions rise in this unfolding drama. The U.S. justifies its military buildup as a fight against drug trafficking. Officials accuse Venezuela's government, led by President Maduro, of running the so-called Cartel of the Suns, flooding the U.S. with drugs. Sanctions have targeted Maduro's relatives, some convicted of smuggling cocaine. The U.S. frames this as a national security threat, using these cases to legitimize military action. Venezuela denies all allegations, calling the cartel a U.S. fabrication to justify aggression. They argue the real motive is control over Venezuela's oil and resources. Competing narratives dominate. The U.S. claims to fight crime. Venezuela claims to defend sovereignty. The U.S. insists its mission is a legal campaign against narco-terrorism, allowing military force under its own rules. Warships and planes remain, officially to protect America from drugs, but the true stakes seem far broader. The war on drugs, once again, is a cover for a much larger conflict. Oil is at the heart of the crisis. The U.S. military enforces a blockade on Venezuelan oil tankers, crippling exports. Tensions soared when the U.S. seized a Venezuelan tanker in international waters, an act Venezuela calls piracy. President Trump's blunt remark, "I assume we're going to keep the oil," confirmed fears of economic warfare. Maduro accuses the U.S. of using military power to steal Venezuela's resources, framing the blockade as imperialism. The blockade and seizures have escalated the conflict beyond drugs, making oil the central prize. Trump hints at possible ground operations, raising alarms of a wider intervention. The standoff is now a volatile mix of military might, economic pressure, and resource control. The world watches as the Caribbean becomes a flashpoint over oil. The risk of full-scale conflict grows with every move. Trinidad and Tobago, just 12 kilometers from Venezuela, has become a key U.S. ally. The government allowed U.S. Marines to install advanced radar and granted access to its airports for American military aircraft. Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar openly supports a hardline approach, framing the alliance as a fight against crime. This marks a major foreign policy shift, putting Trinidad and Tobago at risk in the regional standoff. Venezuela responded by cutting off natural gas supplies, deepening the diplomatic rift. The energy link is severed, and tensions between neighbors are at a breaking point. The conflict is no longer just US versus Venezuela, it's pulling in the entire region. Trinidad and Tobago's choice has reshaped the Caribbean's political landscape. The stakes for small nations have never been higher. Today's crisis echoes the 1989 U.S. invasion of Panama. Then as now, the U.S. accused a Latin American leader of drug trafficking to justify military action. The rhetoric against Noriega mirrors that now used against Maduro, but the world has changed. Today's multipolar landscape makes intervention riskier, with powers like China and Russia in play. Unlike Panama, the U.S. now relies on blockades, sanctions, and air power, not ground troops. The hybrid strategy reflects new geopolitical realities and greater complexity. The past offers lessons, but 2025's crisis is uniquely unpredictable. The Caribbean could see outcomes far different from 1989. History rhymes, but it doesn't repeat. The U.S. operation has turned deadly, with strikes killing at least 90 people since September 2025. The U.S. claims the targets were drug traffickers, but evidence is scarce, and critics call the attacks extrajudicial killings. A controversial strike killed survivors from a previous attack, sparking outrage and debate over legality. Lawmakers question the role of Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth and the lack of transparency. Classified footage has been shown to Congress, but the public remains in the dark. The blockade, lethal strikes, and regional alliances have created a tense, unstable situation. Venezuela remains defiant, accusing the U.S. of aggression and theft. Regional neighbors are drawn in, and the international community is deeply divided. The world faces a dangerous standoff, with no clear end in sight. Will diplomacy prevail, or will the Caribbean descend further into crisis?